Hey, what's going on, guys? Today is one of my favorite days. We are going to be doing a tips and tricks video on the 2025 Honda CR-V, because I don't want you to own this thing for a year only to go, damn, I didn't even know it could do that. So let's hop on it. All right, guys, so this first tip or trick is going to be related to the door locks. Now, this car has smart key entry, and what that means is I can walk up, put my hand on the door handle, and it'll then unlock the driver's side door for me. What it doesn't do, though, is unlock your passenger side. So in the event that you have bad weather, how nice would it be that you could touch that, it unlock all the doors so everyone could get in the car so they're not getting rained on or snowed on or sleet on or whatever the case is. Let me show you how to set that up. So we're gonna go into settings. Now, when we get into settings, right, for vehicle settings, we're gonna scroll down and we are looking for keyless access setup. We wanna select that. The first one is door unlock mode. Select that one. Now under here, driver's door only is the default. If you scroll down, you can go to all doors. Now when you unlock and touch that door handle, it'll unlock all the doors of the vehicle. All right, guys, so this next feature I find very important for people like me, where you're traveling around with a laptop, maybe you got cameras, whatever the item is. You get out of your car, you start walking into the grocery store, your apartment, your house, wherever it is, and you realize, oh my God, I'm not sure if I locked the doors. So then what do you gotta do? You gotta turn around, walk back out in the parking lot, and start hitting the button, trying to get it to honk the horn or do something so that you know the doors are locked. Well, what if you could set it up to where when you get 10 feet from the car, it'll automatically lock the doors. We're gonna jump into settings, specifically vehicle settings, right? And then we wanna scroll down. We wanna go to door setup. So we're gonna scroll down here and go into door setup. Now, in door setup, if you scroll down, walk away auto-lock is gonna pop up. The default is that it's always is turned off. So you wanna turn this feature on. You turn it on, now when you get 10 feet from the car, it'll automatically lock the doors for you. Now, if you live somewhere like me, the weather is hot a majority of the year. However, if you live in colder climates or places where it rains a lot, this next feature might be something you want to turn off. The car is set up to where if you press the unlock button and then press it and hold it again, it can actually roll down the windows and the moonroof for you. Really cool feature if you want to let the heat out. However, if you live somewhere it rains a lot, maybe you're laying on the couch and you accidentally press this, you might roll down your windows in the middle of a thunderstorm. Let me show you how to turn this feature off. So we're going to hop into the settings, right? And then we want to scroll down. We want to find the door setup. Now, once you get into door setup, you are going to scroll down. Now, you are going to come down here until you see keyless remote power window controls. From there, you can then turn that feature off. Have you ever been in somebody's car, maybe you're in the back seat or in the passenger seat, and they stop the car, we're all going to get out of the car, but you go to grab the door and you're like, why can't I get out, right? Well, Hondas are set up similar in the sense that the default setting is when the driver opens the driver's side door, it then unlocks the remaining doors of the vehicle. Now that's cool unless you got that friend or that mom or that sister or that husband who takes forever to get all their belongings together and then unlocks the door. Well, what if you could change that setup? Let me show you how. All right, so we're going into vehicle settings. Now, once you're under vehicle settings, we want to go down to door setup. We're going to select door setup, and then we want to scroll down to door auto door unlock. In this setting, right, so all doors open when driver's door opens. This is the default setting. I can change this to when they shift the car to park, it'll then unlock the remaining doors. You can also do it when the ignition turns off the vehicle, or you can completely turn this function off. So these next couple tips or tricks are going to be related to the gas door and the back end of the vehicle. So the first thing I want to talk to you is that, did you know that your gas door is connected to your door lock? So if the doors are locked, it won't unlock. If you unlock it, this will pop open. Now, the second part to that is if I ran out of gas, you'll notice there's a valve on here now. So if I ran out of gas and I needed to go to a gas station, I didn't have a can or whatever, I may need a way to be able to hold this open and pour gas into the car. Well, let me show you how you can do that. If you come around to the back end, now for my non-hybrid users, it's gonna live in here. For my hybrid users, there's gonna be a panel over here that you can pop off. So just understand that. All right, so there is a funnel that lives down here. If I grab this funnel, that is actually the function of this. This is designed to be able to hold this open to where you could pour gas down into the vehicle in the event that you ran out of gas. Now, for my folks that live in colder climates, you may have run into the case where sometimes this gets jammed or almost frozen shut and you can't get it to pop open. Let me show you something. On the inside here, there's a panel right here. You can take this panel off. There's actually a wire that you can pull to help pop this guy open in the event that you need to. Now, when it comes to the tailgate, there is one trick that I want to show you, right? So I'm on an EX model, so I'm going to go ahead and close this, right? But if I needed to lock the doors and I had all my keys in my pocket and a lot of things going on and I couldn't get to the fob, there's actually a button on here. So I'm going to pop this open again and show you. This button is right there. It's over to the side. I can press that to help lock all the doors of the vehicle. Depending on your age and how tech savvy you are, maybe you're familiar with the remote start. The Honda CR-V comes with a remote start. For it to work, the doors always have to be locked on the car, but to use it, there's a little round button here you can see that says press hold. You can press and hold that button for a couple seconds, and it'll actually fire up the vehicle. Now, there's a couple cool things that are gonna happen. First, the front lights will flash and then the car will crank up. Now, if that makes you a little bit nervous, you're like, well, what if somebody runs out and grabs my car and gets in? Understand, as I mentioned earlier, the doors are locked. However, even if your doors were unlocked, also know that when they get in, the key fob has to be registered in the car. You then have to put your foot on the brake and press the start button for the rest of the vehicle to turn on. Now, if all this still makes you uncomfortable and you just want to turn that function off, let me show you how. So to turn the remote start system off, here's how you do it. You're gonna go into settings, right? Now, once you're under vehicle settings, you wanna go to keyless access setup. So once I get down to keyless access setup, you're gonna scroll pretty much, I wanna say, to the very bottom. Remote start system on off. From there, you can select this. You can then turn the remote start system off to where it won't work off the key fob. So Hondas are set up with something called lockout prevention. So what does that mean? That means if I had the keys to my car, right, and I left them inside the car and I tried to lock it and walk away, the doors won't lock to the car, right? So the car will remain unlocked so I don't accidentally lock my keys in my car. However, sometimes there are reasons you might want to use that. Maybe I want to store the car and have somebody come pick it up later and I want to leave the car in it, right? The key in it. Or maybe a tow truck driver's coming to get it and I want the car to remain locked because they have the spare key, right? There's a couple different reasons you could probably come up with. Let me show you how to turn this function off to where you can physically lock the keys in the car. Okay, so to turn off the lockout prevention, we're going to go under vehicle settings. Now, once we're under vehicle settings, we want to go to door setup. Now, once you get into door setup, you're going to scroll down quite a bit. Now, you're going to get down and you're going to see lockout prevention. You can then select that feature, and then you have the ability to turn off the default, which is on, to off. All right, so typically when you're driving down the road, sometimes you'll see like a green light come on, and then it'll fade out. Now, what that is the fuel efficiency backlight. It's designed to basically give you a visual indicator of if the way you're driving is going to affect your fuel mileage in a positive way, or it's going to affect it in a negative way. Now, that may be a little bit distracting to you, and it may be something you want to turn off, so I want to show you how to do that. So if you go into vehicle settings, now once you're under here, we are going to scroll down. We are looking for meter setup. Now, once you get into meter setup, you can scroll way down here and you're going to see fuel efficiency backlight. Once you get to that, you then can turn this feature off. Now, while we're here though, I do want to show you one other cool thing. If I back out of this, for any of my users who want to change maybe the language, right? Maybe you're in the Canadian area, you want French versus English, whatever the case may be. Also, if you want to come in here and change Celsius to Fahrenheit, this is the same place you would do it. And then additionally, if you want miles per hour or kilometers an hour, you can scroll down and make those changes here as well. So new Hondas are set up what's called the Honda Sensing Suite. And what that is it has radar down on the grille. There's a camera up here that can detect lines on the roads, right? You have all these different things that are safety features designed to keep you in a lane, right? Or if you start to drift out of lane, to give you audible alerts and to vibrate the wheel, or to apply the brakes if it's looking like you're gonna rear in another car before you hit them. Well, that camera up here that's typically used for lane keep assist, which keeps you in your lanes, or that road departure mitigation, also picks up signs, right? So speed signs. So not only can it pick them up and display what the speed sign is, but it can also provide you alerts if you're going 3 miles over or 5 miles over or even 10 miles over. But you gotta set it up. Let me show you how. Set up these alerts. This is gonna be a two-parter. The first part we wanna do is go into vehicle settings. Now, once we're under that, we want driver assisted system setup. Now we wanna select that. Now, if we scroll down here a couple, we are going to be first looking for the traffic sign recognition system display settings, right? So we want to select that. We want to make sure that that feature is on. So if yours is off, make sure you turn it on. Now, after we've done that, then we want to go back in, right? So I'm going to start over again just to make this a little bit easier, and we're going to scroll, right? So I'm going to come back in here, and now I'm scrolling upwards. So speed limit warning threshold settings. Now I want to select that. From here, I can then pick some options. If I'm going 3 miles and over, it can give me an audible alert in the dash and a visual alert. I can set up to 5 miles over, or maybe you're like, hey, 5 miles, I'm not worried over, but if I'm driving on a long road trip, 10 miles over, I don't want to get a speed trap, you could go ahead and select that and set it up. All right, so these next couple tips or tricks are going to be related to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, I'm specifically using a Google Pixel, so this is going to be Android-based, but understand these work the exact same. The first is going to be what you're seeing on the screen. So right now you can see I've got Google Maps on one side, and then I've got audio options and some different things on the left. Understand you can flip-flop these. If you want to do so, if you come in here and scroll down to settings, When you get into settings, you're gonna be able to scroll, and it's near the very bottom, and you're gonna go to change layout. From there, I can switch navigation closer to driver. Now, when I jump back, my navigation will be on this side, and the rest will be on the other side. Now, when you're using Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, there's a couple things I like, and that's you have some custom actions you can take advantage of. The first would be something like this. If I'm just looking for the nearest gas station, I can touch this, it'll drop in the prompt for me and then pull it up, and it'll direct me to the nearest gas station. This can be very helpful if you're in an area where you're just not that familiar. Now, that's the first custom action I want to show you. The second one is if you want to call someone. I have this set up to call me, right? Just as an example, I could select this, it'll pull up and immediately start calling a phone number, right? So easy enough to understand. That way, if you have people that you regularly call, why not just be able to touch it instead of to search or use the voice command to ask it to call them? So let me show you how to set both of these up. To do so, you're gonna go to Customize. So when you select Customize, it is then gonna launch the app on your phone. So for the sake of this, you're gonna see all of my apps right here. Now, one thing I wanna mention is if you wanna rearrange your apps, this is gonna give you the ability to do so. But for it to take place after you've moved them, you're gonna have to unplug and plug back in or turn the car off and turn it back on. So if you ever wanna rearrange all these apps, know that you can do that. But let's talk about adding shortcuts and custom actions. So the first thing I wanna do is select add a shortcut to the launcher, right? From there, it's then gonna prompt me, do I wanna select it to call a contact or an assistant action? If it's calling a contact, just select that and then go find the person you wanna add and add them. Very simple, and then it'll drop it onto the list, typically at the very bottom though, to where you'll have to kind of move them to where you want. The second one though is if you wanna do an assistant action. So on here, the first thing is you wanna put in the command, drive to nearest Jack in the Box. And then from here, I can scroll down, launcher icon label, I could label it Jack in the Box. Now, once you're here, you can then test the command. If you wanna test it, you absolutely can. You can select it and then see if it'll work on here. So I can see that this clearly works. If that does, I can then go ahead and say, yeah, create the shortcut. Much like I said, once you've created it, it'll drop it down here at the very bottom and then I can move it up to the top. So if I wanted to move that function, I could grab it and move it to wherever I want, right? So I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna move it to the very first one on my list. So for this to take effect and to start showing up now, I'm gonna wanna disconnect from Apple CarPlay or Android Auto and then reconnect up. Once I've done that, it'll relaunch the app and then it'll take place. So now if I jump in, I can pull it up and you'll see the very first one is Jack in the Box, and it'll then give me directions to Jack in the Box. Understand this custom action can be used for more than just necessarily driving to a location, but a really cool feature you can take advantage of. Now, if you're looking at my screen going, my touchscreen doesn't look anything like that, and you're starting to notice that, hey man, he's got YouTube TV and he's got Netflix, and he's actually able to stream those services on his dash. Well, I want to talk to you about how I'm able to do that, right? What's allowing me to access these features or to pull up Spotify and to have the full version of it, not be forced to use voice command to run searches and different things like that, but to be able to use this as if I was using it on my phone or maybe a tablet or whatever the case may be. So let's talk about how I'm doing that. What I'm using is specifically a box. This is a cool tip or trick related to tech. Now, this one is brought to you from CarLink Kit, right? So this specific box is the CPC 200T box. Now, how does this work? You plug this box into where you would typically plug in for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Now, after you've done that, you would just go into settings. You would want to turn on the hotspot of your phone and then connect up to your phone's hotspot. That's what's going to provide it data, right? That's what provides the box data so that you can take advantage of it. Now, what's really cool about this is I could jump in, come in here and say, hey, there's a specific app I want to download. I actually can go to the Play Store and download any app I want. So at that point, I could pull it up, run a search for the app I want, and go find it and do it. I've already done that with a couple basic ones that I think most of us use on the regular. YouTube TV, maybe you're a Hulu Plus user, right? No big deal. But also things like Facebook, Prime Video, Waze, right? Teams. Some of these I have access to through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but they're just limited. And others I don't have access to at all. Things like Netflix, Kodi, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, those kind of things. So it's a really cool piece of tech that you can use inside of the vehicle. I really like it because not only does it, like I said, unlock all of those apps, but it also gives you the addition of all those streaming services. And you can do things like split your screen between two apps and some different things. The box offers a lot of other features, but these are what I find are the most important to me and the most helpful. If you're interested in this box, I will throw up a link and of course my coupon code. I'm an affiliate. Honestly, I just think it's a really cool tool and something that I've used in a couple different cars now and found to be really valuable. All right, guys, so I want to show you a couple tips or tricks related to your parking brake and something called brake hold. But just a reminder, you have to have your seatbelt on for these features to work. So the first one is, if you set your parking brake, right? Car's in drive, let's say I get out of the car, I leave, I come back, I get in. If you have your seatbelt on, you don't have to release the parking brake. You can actually just shift the car to drive. When you touch the gas pedal, it'll automatically release and you can take off and go. So you don't end up sitting there like hitting the gas going, why am I not moving? Make sure you have your seatbelt on first. Now this next feature is called brake hold, and you'll notice that there's a brake hold button right here. So I want to explain what that is. So while I'm here, I'm going to put the car in drive. I've got my seatbelt on, I'm going to press brake hold. When I press brake hold, you're going to see brake hold come on up here, and then there's a button that says hold underneath it. When that's on, what it's going to start doing is it's now holding the brake for me to where I can release my foot from the brake while we're in drive. So this is cool if you're in like stop and go traffic, or maybe you're in a line at a drive-through for a bank or your favorite restaurant, fast food wise, and you're stop and going to kind of relieve some of that just tension of pressing stop, gas, that kind of thing. Now, when I want to move up, all I've got to do, press the gas, I'll move forward a little bit, right? So I'm moving forward, I come to a stop. Once I come to a complete stop, it'll then hold again, right? So now it's holding again and I don't have to touch that. Now, reminder, you do have to have your seatbelt on. If you take your seatbelt off, so if you're in a drive-through, maybe you can't reach the bank teller, maybe you can't reach your food. If you take your seatbelt off, it's going to disengage this feature. No worries though, you're not going to roll into the car in front of you, but what it is going to do is immediately set the parking brake for you so that you don't roll in front of that person, so that then you might need to be able to roll down the window to grab what you needed. All right guys, so hopefully these tips and tricks were super helpful to you. Do me a favor. If you like what I'm doing, I hope you'll press the like button. It helps push the video a little bit further up the search so that others can find it, which is always beneficial to me and of course the channel and others trying to find helpful tips and tricks. Two, I hope you leave a comment, man. If there's a tip or trick that you know about that I don't, I hope you leave a comment and ask me about it, or if you have questions, right? I always like to know about new stuff, and if you do have a question about something, leave a comment. Either I'll answer, or I find that a lot of people in the community will reach out to kind of help you with that. Other than that, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel so when I create videos like this, you will receive them. And then four, I hope you'll share the video, man. If you got some friends that own a CRV, or maybe they're looking at one, and they want to know some cool stuff that it can do, share the video with them, man. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Later, guys!